and get started. What I'd like to do first is not on the agenda. Sorry, Mike. I'd like to introduce our newest tag member and a member of the Apollo Star Team. Name of the company is Safari Telecom. Two of the owners are on the call, Chris Moore and Steve. And can you pronounce your last name for me again, Steve, please?
Sorry, I had to take myself off mute. Yeah, I had to take myself off mute. It's Figurelli.
Figurelli. Okay.
How did they get Moore?
Yeah, well, Moore was pretty easy. Chris, what I'd like to ask you to do, if you would, is just introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your company, and then Brian's going to do a little follow-up after you're done.
Yeah. Okay, Brian probably knows my company better than I do now. So.
I do.
Yeah, Safari Telecom, we're based in New Jersey. We're an Avaya partner, and probably have about 42 people that work for us. Big on the carrier services side, do a lot of that, as well as enterprise, PBX, and some specialty event type business in the data field. But we're not really, haven't transitioned yet really to the data. So that's who we are, and I've been doing this for 25 years. As Safari's been around probably for about 12.
And Chris, what can you a little description on the size of the company, employee size, all that good stuff?
Yeah, we have about 42 people. I only have 5 field, probably 13 field techs when you include everybody. A little heavy on the customer support side. 5 salespeople, and pretty narrow product focus. Strictly pretty much Avaya and hosted at this point, and carrier services, we represent just about anybody.
Excellent. Well, we're thrilled to have Safari on board with us. There's 3 partners in the company. Like Larry said, 2 of them are on board with us on the conference call here. So really excited to have them on board. Had the opportunity to meet with Chris and Dave and Steve in their office the day before we did sales training in Newark just a couple of weeks ago. Very impressed by their management team and the organization, and obviously everyone here is going to have an opportunity to get to know them a little bit better at the Apollo live meeting happening next year. But just wanted to take an opportunity to introduce them to the group. We've brought in 3 new members in the last 6 weeks, Safari being the latest. I don't know if Don Vire, are you on the call here at all?
No.
Okay, Don didn't happen to make it. Okay, so Safari came to us by way of Continuum. Chris had been talking to Continuum, and they had referred Chris over to TAG, as well as in speaking to a couple of our members, one being Don Vire. And obviously Don did a real nice job giving us rave reviews and inspired Chris to give us a call. So thrilled to have him on board. Going to bring a lot to the table, as you will to them, and we'll just go ahead and kick off the conference call. So what we'll do after this call, Larry will send out, Janet's already updated a contact list for everybody in the Apollo team, and we'll get that list out to you a little bit later today, so you have their contact information and they have yours as well. So if everybody could welcome them on to the group eventually at some point in time, we'd really appreciate it, and we'll go from there.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Brian. Hey, Brian, do you want to come down to my office for a second?
Sure.
Thanks. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and jump into the part for Jason to present, and he put together a PowerPoint that's pretty cool. It goes through the TigerPaw mobile app, and I'm going to pass over to Jason so he can go ahead and present it on his own computer. Or I've got it up, so yeah, it's that one.
Well, here, I'd like to do it from mine, if that's all right.
Sure.
That way I have page back and forth between the two.
Oh, okay. Oh, there, okay.
All right, hello everyone. My name's Jason Ellis, and I have with me Steve Alger, who's pretty much spearheaded the project for us here at TigerPaw's. We had a strategic meeting between our management action team, and we decided that this was something that was really important to us to really streamline our processes and try to decrease our billing time. And it really seems to have done most of the things we wanted to. And we feel at this point it's been a real big success. I guess we kind of gauged the success by how well it's received by the employees and how well it's performing in the field. We haven't rolled it out to all of our staff yet. We have three main departments here. We have data, communications, and security. And the security team has not. I'm sorry, I had a message come through on the screen. I needed to read it. But our security team has not been rolled over to the mobile app yet, and that's probably going to happen later this week or early next. Can everybody hear me all right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
good.
Yep.
Okay. So to start in on my presentation here, it's, when we sat down with our management action team, we felt we needed to look at our process and how our information flowed and get a really good handle on how our process flows from when the service order is created to when actually the service tech goes out, and the back end as well, and how we bill it. And so, like my first bullet point here is, if your process is broke already, software is not going to fix it, and it's going to be a disaster. So we put a huge emphasis on that, and part of our strategic meeting with our management was really focused on the fact that we wanted to make sure our processes were in place and being followed before we rolled it out. So one of the first things that we came up against, we found out we didn't have enough TigerPaw licenses. One of the things you got to remind yourself that when you have all these additional apps running, they do take a license. They are, as you guys well know, for your TigerPaw users, they are I found them to be a little expensive anyway. So the second thing we wanted to make sure we did was, all of our endpoints, our phones that we use to enter all this information in are all the same. Currently, the way we handle our phones and on call for our technicians, we provide the phones. They're all HTC LTE Lite or LTEs, yes, LTEs, and they all have full data. So that entry or that pricing was already in there, so that really wasn't a threshold for us at that point. So when I spoke to a couple of the other tag members that were already doing TigerPaw Mobile, I heard horror stories, and I heard it worked pretty okay or pretty well. One of the things that the ones that said everything was working pretty well on were all Android users. So once I saw that we were all Android users, we pretty much decided at that point we were going to try to push this forward. One of the things we had to do was make sure our internet connection was good, and that we had all the ports forwarded that were required, and we needed to purchase the certificates that's needed. And that's one of the things I really despise doing is installing certificates. It's always such a pain, and which kind of leads me to the other two things. We went through great steps to print out all the information TigerPaw gave us on installing mobile. One of the most important things you can do is print it out and then write the number for tech support on there, and then call tech support and don't read anything else. So I found that there are so many steps that were not in the guide that it's worthless, it's pointless. So don't waste your time. If you do install it, make sure that you just, in my opinion, just call them up and they did everything for me. And that's what I pretty much let them down that way. So I wouldn't try or attempt it yourself because you're just wasting your time. Of course, that's a personal opinion. You guys may feel differently. So on our rollout, we defined our process. Of course, we had defined it once before, but as we started getting into it, we figured out that we were going to have to redefine our steps, and many of that was just entailing the statuses that are in TigerPaw's that is set to, whether it's service or whatever it is. We had to add more, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But the first thing we do is we start using the dashboard, and my next slide is going to show you the dashboard. I don't know if any of you guys already do, but that's what we started with. We brought the dashboard up, and that seems to help get away from my managers that schedule service and installations. They used to have a tablet on their desk with a calendar, and it would have everybody scheduled through the week, and that's gone away. Now we're able to look up at the TV, and I can see at a glance who's where, what they're doing, how long they worked on it, and what they're going to be doing today, tomorrow, and the next day. That's really helped. At a glance, I can walk up and see how productive we are at that point. So the first thing, once we got the dashboard up, we installed the app on our Android phones for the managers, and we walked the process ourselves and identified certain things that we needed to fix. And there were a couple of things. First thing we noticed right off the bat was when we added a part on our Android phones, it would actually come up with the price of the part. And of course, I don't know how you guys feel about that, but we definitely didn't want our techs knowing what our customers paid for things. And so we got back in touch with TigerPaw's. They walked us through changing some things so that didn't appear. So it seems very easy to tailor so that you can view what you want to view and have other people view or not view what you don't want them to. So we also had to define a couple of new searches so that we could define what service tickets were being brought up for who, and we'll get into that as well a little bit later. And then we refined our process, and the first group to implement the rollout was our data techs. We just felt that they were probably the most well-versed at handling any kind of computer issues, and were able to work on phones the best. So for us, it's probably our smallest group, and it just made the most sense. So once we defined that our data techs were going to be our first group of techs to implement the mobile app, we sat down, we brought everybody in a little early one morning, walked them through the steps, and we had somewhat of a training template already made up. We brought them through the process and unleashed them on the world. And so that seemed to work okay. As we got to the next group, we were a little bit better at it. We knew some of the things that needed fixed, so we were able to do most of that. Here is a screenshot of some of our techs, and you can see how it lists them across the top. If you look, you can see this kind of tells you what's happening here. These are the tickets that were set for that person in those time slots. You'll see here, this one actually has a red S on it. Well, I'll get into that as well. I'll show you how the phone works and how when the service ticket's completed, it automatically drops to what we call our dispatch review. And when it goes to dispatch review, it'll go to a red square with a D in it. So that tells me right away that this one has been done, and she's probably en route to our next service ticket here, which is in line. So I think there is also over here, if you look, there is a truck. So when the person taps on the start time to travel, the little truck appears. And I know this person Mike is en route to this particular job and is traveling there. So, the actual wrench that you see here is the when the tech is at the site and working on that particular service ticket, that shows the wrench that they're working on that particular service order. And what we did is this is our dispatcher here, and what we did was we bought I think it's a 50-inch TV, and 50-inch, and we put it here in our main area where our dispatcher can look up at a glance. Most of our techs come in the morning. They'll find out what they need to do for the day, as well as all they have to do is at this point look at their phone and they'll see what's organized them for the day as well. It's kind of our group meeting area where they kind of come in, get what they need, talk to who they need to. Everyone's kind of gathered here before they kind of head out in the morning. So it gives us, and plus I like to walk out there, I can see at a glance what's going on. I can talk to my dispatcher right there, say, okay, so where's everybody out? What's everybody's doing? And what do we got going on from next? I don't have to ask that anymore. I can look up at a glance and find all that out. So the way it would work for us is, we would create a service order and we would set it to service. And at that point, to schedule the service order, you would click on the task button here, and this page comes up, at which point you would schedule it for the time and dates that you see. You can select any of them, and you would set it as an appointment, and any other pertinent information that you would have, and then you would hit the save and close button, at which point it would show up here. This is a snapshot of our phone, and this would be your agenda for the day. For this particular day, you will see that the TelePlus Corporation Demonstrate TigerPaw Mobile is a service ticket, and that's my next one on my agenda. So you can tap on that right here, and it'll bring you to the next screen, which you see here. When a tech goes to leave the office or leave the job to start the next job, they'll click the start button here, and that automatically starts their timer, which you'll see here. And our time will start, and it'll actually keep track of how long it takes to get to the site. And then on the dashboard, you'll see the little truck appear in the service ticket, knowing that the guy's en route. If you scroll this down, oh, never mind. So, hang on a second, I'll get to that. Go back one. Once the person or the tech arrives on site, he'll click the start button, which is what you'll see here. It stops your travel time and starts your work time. Well, if they have to stop for lunch or whatever, you can pause it or stop it when you're done. So once you are at the site, you can click the update tab here, at which point you can start entering your notes. You can, and since our phones will all do talk to text, we don't have to type anything up anymore, which has been a godsend. We were going through about 500 to 530 tickets a month that were all going to have to be typed up by our dispatcher. And needless to say, he actually loves the mobile app, because now that doesn't have to happen anymore. So if you scroll that page down, you'll see where you can enter parts. Also, let me show here. That's not it. All right. So the technician will enter his work performed here, and that's all voice to text. And once that's done, you can complete your work ticket by clicking on it here. You can add pictures. So if you see something that somebody has changed, or there's a freight telephone cable, or whatever the issue may be, you can add pictures to your service ticket, and then at the end you can actually click on your signature, and the person can sign on your smartphone or your tablet with their finger. So one of the things I really liked about the app was we're able to take pictures for any kind of disputes, and we always have some of those customers that can be somewhat difficult to deal with, and they want to question everything. But it's really nice when you can show them a picture of the actual problem where it was pinched or cut or whatever it may be. It really eliminates a lot of the, okay, well, I understand that's what you did. So it helps us with at least, I'd say, 5% of our customer base. So we can collect our signatures. The voice to text is absolutely wonderful. It's eliminated so many hours of typing that we don't have to do anymore. We currently, we have service orders, and then we have new installations. We have not moved over to the mobile app for installations just because of the volume of information on installations. And I truly believe that in order to compose your thoughts, so they're just legible and understandable and they flow, we're still handwriting those as well as it is today. In the future, we may change from that, but at this point, I don't see us doing that. Upon completion, a ticket that automatically drops into the dispatch review. You set that up as part of the setup in TigerPaw. So in the way our particular flow goes, the dispatcher will then adjust the times and parts. If someone made an error, they stopped the timer, or they forgot to start the timer or end the timer, or whatever the case may be, he can modify those and add parts. A lot of times our techs are on site without the ability to look up parts, so you may just make a verbal note in there that this part or that part needs to be added. So at that point, the dispatcher looks through the verbiage just to make sure that we all know that voice to text can sometimes add or change words. So he verifies that everything is understandable, legible, and at that point passes it on to the department review. The department review will look for NTR, which to us means needs to return, or the service ticket is complete. Once if it's a need to return, they'll reschedule it, either look for the parts we need or get a better understanding of why we do need to return. And then if it's complete, they'll verify the information and then send it on to purchasing review, where they add the parts and make sure the right parts were used. Purchasing then verifies the parts, moves to accounting, and it's out for billing. So at this point, it used to take probably a week to 10 days to get an invoice out the door. Now it's probably down to 2 to 3 days. So that's our presentation. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask.
Great presentation, Jason.
Thank you.
This is Mike. I do have a question for you. Before you used TigerPaw Mobile, were you using any of the other tracking systems within TigerPaw, like TigerTrack?
We tried TigerTrack, but it was a miserable failure. It was the biggest waste of money I ever spent.
And how are you guys tracking? How do you guys track time today? Outside of, I mean, before you had TigerPaw Mobile.
Each tech would have a timesheet, a printed timesheet, and they would handwrite everything out.
Okay.
So if you could maybe expand on that a little bit. We use TigerTracks. Where do you feel? How do you feel that this would be a benefit over TigerTracks? Where were your challenges at prior to that, and how is this solving it?
Oh, wow. Well, it's been so long since we've tried it. It was probably 2 years ago, we tried to use it. I can't really say accurately what it was that was the nail in the coffin, but I know we struggled to be able to use it, and to bring that out to our techs, it really didn't work.
Okay, so, because we're currently using a desktop, all of our techs have laptops, they have wireless cards, and they're connecting then to the TigerTrack portal and updating service orders and such. So trying to find out how the mobile might advance us from where we are currently, what things it offers above and beyond what we might do there.
I'm going to let Steve speak. He could probably speak a little bit about that as well.
Yeah, what I'm finding out is that because we do it through a mobile phone or a handheld, even if our techs don't have to break out their laptop. So when they get to the site, they hit the work time. There's not any guessing when you got there. Is the one thing with the time is they just hit start whenever they open their van door to get out and go in the building. And they can update because they have wireless access all the time. They don't have to break their laptop out unless they actually need to use a laptop for technical troubleshooting. And then they can update notes on the fly. I didn't get to use the TigerTrack very much, but I know when we experimented with it, we were kind of disappointed with the TigerTrack.
I think the biggest advantage is the talk to text. We're not very good typers. At least I know a lot of our communications guys aren't, and I know our security guys are even less. So the ability to be able to talk to text without having to hunt and peck, for our guys anyway, was a benefit.
Jason?
Yes.
Hi, it's Marcelo. I have a question. Do you have any problems on the pause button? I mean, we're using TigerPaw's mobile, and we're liking it more now that we're with Android phones. But the pause button doesn't really pause on the times. So how are you using it? Because if the guys break out for lunch, it doesn't break out.
We're using the stop button. Steve says we're using the stop button.
Okay, so you're using the stop button for lunches.
Yes.
Right, and then the other thing we do is if one of our techs makes a mistake, like, hey, I drove over here and I forgot to start my work time and have 3 hours of travel time to a place that took me 15 minutes to get to, what they'll do is they'll actually put a note in their comments at the end of the comments, and they'll put, actual travel time was, and then actual site time was. That way, when the dispatcher closes the ticket, he can read their comment and make sure that the time is correct, just in case they made a mistake, because, they are human, and we also do get into some places with some of our data work where you don't always have internet access just because of the type of area that it is that you can't get anything. That they'll have to make some adjustments like that. It's pretty easy to accommodate.
Right. Okay. And I don't know if you guys are doing it, but I know that one of our technicians actually somehow he logs into TigerPaw's mobile from his laptop as well and types away and does everything from his laptop.
Oh wow. Well, we haven't tried that.
So, yeah. So he's not here. I'll have to ask him how he does it, but I know he does.
Our techs have access. We have a terminal server set up for our remote users, and our field techs, especially our data techs, they're able to log into the terminal server right into TigerPaw. They're stationed at a site for a while. They can update TigerPaw directly.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It's kind of got multi-pronged approach to it.
Good to hear from you.
Yeah, same here. So one quick thing I would like to add to everybody is that we've been working with TigerPaw mobile for a while and really struggled a lot until we replaced our phones to Androids. So, and before that we had iPhone 4s, and it just didn't work. It wasn't reliable. We were getting probably 30-40% of reliability notes not coming through, where now we can say that we're probably at 90% reliability.
Yeah, and that's the information I got back from a couple different other tag members as well. So, fortunate for us, we were already using Android phones. It was just luck, but I'll take it every time.
Right.
Okay. Jason, nice. You guys did a nice presentation. Thank you. Anybody have any other questions? Well, you know who to go to if you get into the TigerPaw mobile app.
Yeah, we really fell in love with it. It's been a really good thing for us.
I think probably on my end, what I like, I'm the guy that has to review the tickets after the dispatcher gets them before they're invoiced. So when I used to wait for our dispatcher to type those tickets, and then a lump of tickets would come through, I might be out in the field for a day or two working on a problem with technicians, and I come back and there's a stack of paperwork in my inbox. Now with the TigerPaw app, with the mobile app, the techs can complete the tickets. The dispatcher, whenever he is free, can look in his dispatch review filter, and he can review tickets almost as they get done and put them over into my my review bin. And then as I get time, I can review 10 tickets at a time rather than waiting for 50 tickets to come through when they get processed. So it gives me greater flexibility and kind of less headache because then I have to glue myself to the desk if I had all that paperwork to deal with. So I'll add that's where it's really benefited me as a manager.
Nice. Nice. Well, theoretically, you guys could actually invoice the customer the same day the job's been done, right?
Absolutely. We've been shying away from that because we were afraid our customers are going to complain that they got a bill faster than they got a technician.
So?
I did see one that tech was on the ticket like 8:30 in the morning. I think until about 10:30 in the morning, that ticket was already in account.
Isn't that kind of the end result we're all searching for?
It sure did make me smile.
Nice. I love that. All right. Well, thank you, guys. Anybody else have any questions or comments for either of these two gentlemen? No? Okay. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and move forward. You can all see the email actually that I sent out today. Just going through an agenda. Did want to touch on StarCon before it's no longer a thought in our thought patterns. But StarCon feedback is really important. But here's what I'd like to do: just kind of jump around the room and see maybe a couple of the positive takeaways that you got from StarCon. Really interested. We feel like we came up with a pretty good format this time, but we'd like to get a couple of the positive takeaways that maybe some of you got out of that. Mike, could you, since you're the Matt rep as well, can you kind of kick this off, please?
Absolutely. Thanks, Larry. Yeah, StarCon 2013 was a home run this year. I mean, that's how I looked at it, and all the feedback that I got was positive. And I got a number of the people who reached out to me. And one of the things, and this came from Dave, and Dave's a great mentor because this I thought was a great idea, is just trying to go around and see, from the presentations that we watched, and there were a lot of good ones, but you can't walk away with every single presentation trying to implement that in your business. So, one of the things that Joe and I looked at, we looked at two, okay? One was Dave's about, possibly purchasing, another company and how you would go about doing that, and we're just exploring that. But the other big one was HIPAA. And that's something that we've had on our agenda since the beginning of this year. So I thought that was a great class. We've already made some strides, and it's going to be it's one of my top objectives for 2014. But going around the room, I'd just like to kind of hear what guys, what they found was useful and what they are taking back and implementing in their own businesses. So, anyone?
This is Dave, Mike. I thought the Great America team building process was an inspiration to us, and we've come back and talked about that and kind of repositioning some people in our office. Our sales team was kind of strung out in the office, and we've just moved them. And so I think we're kind of centered on the team concept. I really respect them for what they've accomplished. I wish I could get that done to that level. That's probably the big takeaway for us.
Excellent.
Yeah, this is Jerry. Other than never going to Brazilian barbecue to start off a program because I gained so much weight as it was, I would say the engagement marketing was excellent with, one, I don't think that we're doing, whether it's looking at a charity, which we've actually started looking at being identified with a charity, and then some of the other aspects of hosted luncheons, business luncheons, and setting that up. So just those are right there for us, and we haven't taken advantage of it.
Okay. Who else? Jake.
Yep. Well, I think that to echo on Dave's a little bit there, the team building part was good. That's as far as immediate implementation. That's one thing we've kind of done. I now spend at least the first couple hours of the morning down in the area where all of our techs are. Just have my laptop down there and work from down there to have a little bit better finger on the pulse of what they're doing. And then we're also trying to do a lot of the things that Scott Jones talked about with Continuum and trying to get that really ramped up and going. And we're just kind of on the starting point of a lot of things since getting back involved with TAG again. I think this week I'm signing with TigerPaw to get that implemented finally for us. So getting Continuum implemented, and so there's a lot of new things for us that we're getting going on, and so it was good to talk to a lot of the fellow members of TAG to see how it's going for them. So the networking part of it was great for me too.
Nice.
This is Mark, and I would say the relationships, how important those are, and we're just trying to build relationships with the community and clients like they had in hunting elephants.
Yeah. Okay. Don?
I'd pretty much echo what the others have said. I came back with so much that I just need to take it piecemeal and try and implement one thing at a time.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head there too, Don. I mean, and you can't try and implement all these things, but if you can walk away with one or two things from a StarCon and it makes a difference in your business, I think we've accomplished our goal.
Yep. Okay. Anybody else? Pretty much echoing what we've heard so far?
Dave, again, we are implementing Insight PRM. We purchased that out there, and we've got the demo set up and using that, and plan on hiring a couple people after the first of the year part-time to find us additional and quality leads. So we're pretty excited about that concept that Larry Dillon came up with out there. I really didn't understand that until I really got into sit down with them in the room. So, proof's in the pudding. Can tell you 3 to 6 months from now, but we're pretty excited about getting that rolling.
Nice.
That's Move My Biz, Dave?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Different
same.
concept.
Larry's the one that put the chair down.
Drug it.
Yeah. I couldn't figure out what he was doing when he was coming up towards the stage with that chair. Starting to worry me a little bit.
Yeah, I talked to a number of guys that went to Larry's presentation, and it was one of those side presentations that he did on Move My Biz, and that was another thing that we found very, very interesting. But I figure I'm going to let Dave Hyman run with that, and then just figure out, once he figures out all the wrong things to do, I'll get it all right from the get-go.
I'll figure out the wrong things, that'll be for sure.
Harry, what did you, a couple of takeaways you came away from StarCon with?
So this was our first one, so everything was interesting from our perspective. But for me, it wasn't a presentation, but the meeting with Zoltus guys. We just became a Zoltus dealer. Meeting the Zoltus guys, getting our team to, talking to other guys who use Zoltus, who use Cordile, getting a confirmation that we are on the correct path was probably the most critical thing which I got, because I can go on a path and realize 3 years later I'm on the wrong path. That's not very helpful. So the fact that got a confirmation of what we were trying to do was good. It was really critical to us.
Nice. Okay. Good. Jason.
Yes.
You were there, weren't you?
No, I missed that one.
Okay, that's kind of what I was wondering. You won't miss any more, though, right?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Those are all great suggestions and comments. Anybody have anything else that they want to throw out there? I think those were all really, really good suggestions and good positive takeaways. Right? And I'm sure we're going to refine and define some of these before our next live meeting in March, which I'll get to. But good input, guys. Thanks so much.